All right. Well, welcome. I'm your host, A. Lou. Welcome to the Mission Statement Podcast. I got my first guest here today, Matt King. How you doing, my brother?
I'm doing good, brother. How you?
Good. Everything's treating you well, COVID free?
Yeah. COVID's free, and everything. Everything is good over here. Like I said earlier, man, just staying out the way, bro.
Yeah, I
Can't
don't blame you one
complain.
bit.
Just staying out the way.
Will not blame you one bit, not one bit. Yeah, so we just want to have a conversation with you here just to, get an understanding of your background, what you're doing, and how you're progressing through this whole situation that we're currently in. So my
Okay.
first question to you is your first position, you were a real estate investor or real estate banker, excuse me.
Real estate investment broker.
Broker. Okay. So just could you elaborate on that? Like what was your, situation there?
Yeah, so it's kind of crazy how I got that position. I actually was an investment, real estate investment broker for Marcus and Millichap before I graduated from West Virginia University. And so it was kind of crazy. I actually did a project for my last entrepreneurship class on REITs, real estate investment trust companies,
Okay.
and the companies that actually sell those kind of products. And it's just crazy how, I did a little bit of research. Marcus and Millichap was there. They were actually the number one commercial brokerage company in the nation. So when I went home on a spring break one time, I went and did a interview for them, and actually got the job, got the position. It started out as an internship, then it moved into me becoming a full-time broker. Our graduation at West Virginia always is in May around Mother's Day.
Okay.
But we have like a 2-week lag time where, folks go home before they come back to walk. So during that time, I actually went ahead and got my real estate license in the state of New Jersey. And that's how I got that position. So right after I walked that Mother's Day, I think it was around like May 5th, went ahead and started with Marcus and Millichap right after my birthday, right after June 3rd.
Okay.
Went ahead and started with them, and then pretty much worked with them in New Jersey for 1.5 to almost 2 years.
Okay.
Before relocating to the Baltimore area. But my time at Marcus and Millichap was great because it actually taught me commercial real estate. My sector was multifamily, commercial real estate. So that's anything above 6 units or more. I was doing projects on helping out. My area was Morris and Warren County, but my mentor, Nat Gambuza, his area was Essex County in New Jersey. So we're dealing with straight, northern New Jersey and everything. I was actually from Morris County, from Morristown, New Jersey. But it was kind of crazy because all of the individuals that actually own these various different products in multifamily real estate, they were all Jewish and Italian folks. I only had one guy that was actually African American. And it was just kind of crazy to me, but it actually opened up my eyes to what wealth is. So that's how I got started with them and everything. And from that, I transitioned and relocated down to Baltimore.
So when you relocated down to Baltimore, is that where you became an entrepreneur? You decided to take that route?
Yeah. So the reason why I relocated is because one of my clients, he told me he had an honest conversation. He was an old Italian guy and everything. And he told me, he said, Matt, you're not going to make any money selling these buildings. I said, what do you mean? He said, it's a hustle. It's a grind. You don't get paid until you close on the deal. And you got people like me that's going to waste your time. And he said, you got one thing going against you. I said, what is that? He said, you're black. He said, Jewish and Italian people run North Jersey. And for you to get in that space, the only reason why you're even at the table is because of your mentor, Nat Gambuza. So he was like, you need to go to the next urban area that you feel is on the rise, and you need to go buy something. So I did my research, looked between DC and New York, looked at Philly, looked at Baltimore. I picked Baltimore because of the institutions that are in Baltimore. It has the harbor geographically. If you look at it, 2.5 hours, I'm back home in New York. 45 minutes, I'm in DC. But also you have to look at the cost to actually get in. So properties are cheap. I bought a 3-unit building back in 2010 for 38,000. Did a
Mm-hmm.
203K loan, which was a rehab loan. So my renovation cost was factored into my mortgage. So that my mortgage was for 60,000. The difference, I put that into the building. And then once the property was fully renovated and done, and I only went in there and did some light renovations, some splash and dash, fixing some
Mm-hmm.
structural issues in the floor,
Mm-hmm.
separating the utilities and things like that. Property appraised for 150. That took the equity out, did a home equity line of credit, took the equity out. They wrote me a check for 60 grand. And that just upped my mortgage $400. My
Okay.
mortgage on the property was only 650.
Mm-hmm.
It upped it $400 and everything, and my tenants was paying that back. I was living in the first floor and renting the other 2 units out to my fraternity brothers, and that's how I really got immersed with commercial real estate,
Okay.
because I was like, okay, well, that's the most amount of money I've made, in that short period of time. It only took me a couple months to actually, close on the deal, go ahead and do the renovations, and then pull the equity out. And then now, not only do I have the equity that I can go ahead, pay off some debt and buy some more stuff, but then also the debt service is getting paid back by the tenants. So
Okay.
I'm living mortgage free and getting some money in my pocket to pay some bills and stuff like that, pay a car note and everything, because I went out and bought a luxury car at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and took it from there, man. And it was honestly, it was a trickle down effect,
Okay.
after that. But that's how I got how I got a first little taste, in commercial real estate, man. And I haven't turned back since.
Good, 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 good. So when did you become, when did you take the route of becoming a social entrepreneur?
Yeah. So me being a social entrepreneur, man, it actually happened when the Freddie Gray murder and the riots happened in
Okay.
Baltimore.
Okay.
And it was just kind of crazy, because where I'm from in Morristown, New Jersey, that would never happen due to the fact of the level of respect that we have for the police officers, but
Mm-hmm.
also the police officers having the level of respect for the residents.
Okay.
And also that the residents are the police officers. They're one of the community.
Right.
So that would never happen. But for us to be and it opened up my eyes to not only, the racism that was dealt here in Baltimore, the systematic racism that exists, but then also it's like, okay, wow, I'm in the largest city in the state of Maryland and this is happening. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy. Like, you got
Yeah.
kids skipping school to throw rocks at police. Like, that's
Right.
nuts,
Right. Right. Right.
and then all of a sudden they send the tanks through and everything like that. But I really took a stand, because it was like, okay, well, now it's time for me to do something. This is my community, this is my home and everything. I need to stand up and go ahead and do something. So back in 2018, I went ahead and opened up a nonprofit called the Community Development Corporation for Harlem Park. It's called the Harlem Park CDC, Harlem Park Community Development Corporation,
Mm-hmm.
where, our main initiative is to better the quality of life of the residents in our community
Okay.
by doing and implementing various different community-based initiatives and programs. And we do that by feeding families. We do that by our homeownership program, also our How to Live program, financial literacy. We have a 4-H club. So we're actually doing a partnership with Morgan State University right now to go ahead and do a STEM program through that. And then we also have a partnership with the University of Maryland School of Pharmacy as well. So it's kind of crazy, social entrepreneurship. And I didn't tap into it until one of my mentors, Tebow Manikin of Seawall Development,
Mm-hmm.
actually, told me about it and everything and what it actually means. So being a social entrepreneur is that you're actually opening up businesses and you're taking on that risk to solve a social problem.
Right.
You are going to make money, but if the money is not the main facet and key to that,
The
it's
solution.
really to impact and better the quality of life of
Yeah.
another person.
Right.
That's what it's truly about.
Okay. And it's like finding solutions for current issues or anything that comes about
Exactly.
in the community. That's great.
Exactly.
You touched on something very, very important. Even in the beginning, you had a mentor in the beginning, and then you stated
Right.
another mentor put you on a social entrepreneurship. Could you
Right.
elaborate on how important having a mentor is and how it can lead you in the right direction?
Yeah, a mentor is always good to have, and especially a mentor not only that comes from a similar background that looks like you,
Mm-hmm.
but also mentors that come from other races as well. due to the fact that they have other experiences that you might not have, or they have other informations and opportunities that you can tap into to go ahead and better your life. One of the reasons why, I stayed at Marcus and Millichap, it was because of Nat Gambuza and, some of the things that he taught me in being in those circles.
Mm-hmm.
Those conversations showing true wealth. When you look at any urban city, especially in North Jersey, if you go to the projects and stuff like that, majority of that stuff is owned by Jewish and Italian people.
Okay.
Blacks really don't have that much, when it comes to the projects, when it comes to all of these various different apartment buildings. One of my clients was the Wolf family, Ziggy Wolf, and Mark was his son and everything. They own the Vikings. And I
Okay.
remember when that transaction happened, and it was just kind of crazy that, they're the largest apartment owners in North Jersey. And it's sitting down, looking and being around and in those circles and actually, sitting down and talking with folks and say, hey, listen, man, this is what I'm trying to do. These are some of the goals that I have in mind. I'm trying to be exactly where you are and everything. I see that you're successful. How did you make it? How did you do that?
Yeah.
Pick their brain and sit down, and you're not going to be on it might not be on an even playing field because they might have had, some investment come from their family members and things like that to get them started and stuff like that. I had to use money out of my refund checks from my MBA program to buy my first building and everything. My parents didn't really give me anything, but they did give me an opportunity because they put me in those circles when I was young to go ahead and thrive. And I think that that's what it's truly about, but having a mentor is definitely key because they're going to give you guidance, and you can't sit down and hold, every circumstance, everybody's situation is different. We're in a time where what you're experiencing in your life might be different than what they've experienced. There's some similarities, but it might be different because of, they might have came years earlier than you, so on and so forth.
Right.
Like, think about it. One of my mentors was Eddie Brown of Brown Capital and everything. And he told me his story growing up, and he was dirt poor, going to Howard and then taking it from there and going into the financial service industry. And now he owns one of, the wealthiest African-American. He's one of the wealthiest African-American brokerage companies, investment brokerage companies in the nation. That's right out of Baltimore.
Okay.
Him and his wife own the Ivy Hotel, and he's a big time philanthropist as well. Also, he's one of our fraternity brothers. But the conversation, with him and his struggle is totally different than my struggle because he grew up at a time where they were going through civil rights and things like that. But he can still give guidance on how to overcome various different things because we're dealing with some of that stuff right now. And I think that with his guidance, and also I wouldn't be anywhere, I wouldn't be in the place that I am today without having a mentor. Like I said before, the conversation might be, some similar, you might have some differences and everything, but it's always good to have a mentor to guide you in life.
Right.
And it has to be somebody that's from that older generation. It's always, you can't have a mentor that, that's in your same age bracket and stuff like that.
Yeah.
You need somebody that's well versed, and that came before you years, before you and everything, to grab that guidance.
Good. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. Could you expound on the importance of relationships and being able to politic with these people in these surroundings? So once they put you in these surroundings, it's not, they did their part. Now it's on you. Could you, just talk about how important it is to create that relationship?
Yeah, you have to definitely. One of the first things that they taught me at Marcus and Millichap and in sales in general is that you have to build rapport with your clients, right? But even when you're looking at mentors and you're looking at relationships, you still have to build rapport with that person. There has to be some kind of trust level, there. But you have to take advantage of various different opportunities when they come to you. One of the things that I actually, and this, from being my fraternity brother, and also you're a West Virginia bruh and everything, so it's totally different with us. But I was able to go ahead. They call me Trump from my chapter and everything because of the entrepreneurial skills that I have, but also the networking skills that I use to actually not only help the fraternity, but then also use those various different circles to better my life as well. You
Absolutely.
know, I have a lot of mentors that are my fraternity brothers that have
Mhm.
been through so many various different things. Honestly, what broke the cycle, what broke the nervousness when I met Eddie Brown was the fact that I found out after reading his book that he was my fraternity brother.
Okay.
So having that common bond there, that took the nervousness out of it, and now I could talk to him because we have a similar backing,
Okay.
similar background.
Absolutely.
We're frat, so it's
Absolutely.
totally different. And if it wasn't for the fraternity, I wouldn't have that you know common bond with him where he probably wouldn't have opened up his phone like as he did and told me to talk to these various different individuals that he
Absolutely.
put me on to help me get to where I am today. So it's all about mastering relationships and taking advantage of relationships.
Hmm.
Don't
Hmm.
build don't burn bridges.
Absolutely.
You don't never know that you might have to cross that bridge again later in life.
Absolutely.
But also
Absolutely.
soaking those up and treating people fair and treating people with respect, because these individuals are taking time out of their day
Hmm.
to give you guidance, knowledge, to help you with your life.
Hmm.
They don't have to do that.
Right.
Some of the
Absolutely.
mentors that I have and people that I've mentioned, they're multimillionaires and everything. They don't need to help me.
Hmm.
And it's kind of crazy that, they've helped me because of the people that I was around, the person that I am, and also, my family members as well. My mom asked Mr. Brown to help me
Hmm.
after she met him and stuff like that, so I can go ahead and accomplish my dreams and what I'm doing.
Hmm. Okay. Good. The frat runs deep. The frat runs
It
deep.
does.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. You
does.
never know. You never know. So, this kind of ties into it as well. The value of conversation. You expect you talked about it. I mean, it's so important. Just being in that area, that location, being able to converse with anybody and finding a common bond, finding that common ground. But how are you leveraging the knowledge that you've learned through these conversations and apply them to your everyday life or to your work life?
hmm That's a good question. Honestly, it's from those conversations and those experiences. Like I said, those conversations had showed me wealth.
Hmm.
We're not talking about rich. We're not, no, we're talking about wealth
Right.
where, money is passed down through generations and generations. One of the things after I came to Baltimore, before I started the nonprofit, before I opened up a hair salon with my ex fiance, I actually had, and I'm still in the financial service industry, but I work for New York Life. I was actually the top African American agent there. I hit every award that a New Org agent could hit
Hmm.
at New York Life. But one of the things that, a person taught me years ago when I was working at Marcus and Millichap was, one of my African American clients, he was one of 400 clients that I had, and he was the only one that was Black. And he showed me exactly the key thing that you need to build wealth.
Okay.
You need credit and you need collateral.
Okay.
So, and that's one of the things that you definitely have to have due to the fact that, when you're trying to build wealth for your family, those are some of the things that you have to do.
Hmm.
And one of the things, some of the things that you have to have. But one of the things that is most key, especially in collateral, how do you get that?
Right.
Right? You get that through legacy building. You get that through life insurance. When money is passed down when somebody dies, you
Okay.
know, to go ahead and put that back in your family. People think that, okay, Jewish and Italian people just have money. They're just wealthy. They just got it.
Hmm.
Right? No, they do strategic investments where individuals actually pull their money together. They take out life insurance on the oldest person on the family. Once that person passes away, that money goes back into the family,
Okay.
and it goes to the next generation. So it
Mm.
continues the cycle. It continues the legacy. It
Okay.
continues the wealth generation that goes to that next generation, goes into the family. I think some of the things that we have to realize that, being African American, if you look at the generational wealth gap that exists in our community,
Hmm.
you know, it's pretty large due to the fact that, yes, there are some systematic things that have happened to us.
Correct.
One of the things is being not being able to live in certain areas. If you look
Hmm.
at redlining that has hit various different communities, Black and brown communities, but also if you look at urban renewal, which was a federal plan to actually separate historically Black communities. They did it in Hayti. They did it in Baltimore with Route 40. They did it in Tulsa, Oklahoma. They did it in all these various different places, Jacksonville, Miami with 95, everything. And this was a federal program where, you know, they're splitting up historically Black thriving communities. And I think that was the problem that has happened. But we have to sit back and realize and understand that, you know what, listen, you need to have, you know, collateral, you need to have credit, you need to go ahead, and honestly, you have to be creative with it.
Right.
It's just, it's crazy. Like I said, I bought my first building with money that I've got from refund checks from my MBA program.
Right.
Like, people don't even think about that, Doug. Like, honestly, if you look at it, how much money, when you were in school and you had financial aid and you were getting those refund checks, you was getting at least $1,500 to $5,000 a semester.
Right. Right.
So if you do that, if it was $5,000 and everything on a 4-year time frame, come on, man, that's a lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you can put that money as a down payment and stuff like that on a house or an investment property when you get out. So now you don't have to rent. You can go ahead and own something. You got something in your name and everything. But majority of us, what did we do with that money? We went ahead and blew that money.
Blew the money. Trust me when I tell you, I've seen it. I've experienced it too. You know, you take the money and you don't use it wisely. You know, or sometimes you don't even take the money because you know it. You got to pay it back. If you're not forward thinking in your situation, you were forward thinking, saying, all right, well, I'm gonna take this money and I'm going to use it to the benefit of me. I'm going to eventually pay it back anyway. So why have to run my credit twice to get this loan? So could you elaborate on how to better your credit and how important that is to have a good credit score?
So there's so many different things that you can do to better your credit. One, you got to establish credit.
Okay.
If you don't have any credit and everything, people think that if you have a lean credit file and stuff, you know, lenders are not going to give you any money because they see you as high risk.
Right.
But also, it depends on how old you are as well. If you're in your early 30s and you don't have any established credit, that's a problem. You know, because now they say, okay, well, you're in your 30s. How come you don't have any credit? But for you to go ahead and establish credit, you need to start out with a secured credit card or a secured loan where you're putting money down to go ahead and get that credit line. And then you keep on paying it, so on and so forth throughout the months, throughout the years, until they unlock and that credit card becomes unsecured. They give you your money back, or that loan becomes unsecured, and then you can move forward with building your credit. You know, some of the things that folks need to go ahead and do, you know, right when they graduate, if you go ahead and buy an investment property or buy a house, that'll help you, you know, build your credit. Cars are liabilities and everything. They're depreciating assets. It depends on exactly if you put the car in your company name, you know, that's when it's beneficial to you and everything. But majority of the time, folks are going out here financing cars when they should be leasing cars or buying cars outright.
Okay.
You know, when you finance a car, you got to realize if you don't have established credit, they're going to beat you in the head. You paying 28%, you paying 18%, so on and so forth, because that organization, that entity is taking a risk on you. And then look at how much money you're paying over a period of time in interest back to that company. And they're the only ones that's getting money. You're not getting any money.
Right. Because I've seen
it's a lot of various different things, man. But credit is definitely key. Some people say cash is king. Yes, you can buy a lot of different things with cash. You can make a lot of deals happen if you have cash. But you have to have both.
But
cash and credit.
It's not ideal to walk around with 50,000 cash and say, "Here, I'm trying to make a deal." That doesn't look good. That doesn't look good.
Not at all. Not at all. If the only way that it happens is the fact that if you're a highly, you know, savvy person that has cash flow coming in and everything, and you went ahead and say, "Hey, listen, I need this tax write-off because I'm above that $250,000 tax bracket and everything. I need to go ahead and buy this car all cash so I can write the whole thing off." You know, if you have a business or something like that, that's the only way, and that's when you drop money like that, you know, on a depreciating asset. Other than that, man, it's not worth it. But credit is definitely important, honestly. And when you look at it, you know, that's the only thing that you have control over. You have control over your health, you have control over your credit, you know, and all that stuff. Don't make mistakes where, You know, you go out there when you're young, and I did it.
Mm-hmm.
I was at Stony Brook before I went to West Virginia University, man, and Citibank, I remember it till this day, was giving out free those college shirts
Yeah.
that said college on it and everything. And you got a credit card. And I didn't know what a credit card was,
Right.
you know, at the time. But I thought that they said, oh, well, you don't have to pay interest for 6 months and stuff, zero interest.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, zero interest. That means I ain't got to pay this joint for 6 months.
Right. I'll
So they
figure it
went
out.
ahead and gave me, yeah, I was a freshman. They went ahead and gave me a whole line of credit, it was like $1,500.
Oof.
I'm out here buying polos. I'm out here
Yeah.
doing all kinds of craziness. Ran that credit card up. And then all of a sudden I was like, whoa, now I gotta start paying this thing off
Right.
and paying it back.
Right.
You know, and I was able to do that because I took money from one of my refund checks to pay that card off. And then that's when I got an American Express card and everything. But you know, that was one of the things that I had to sit down and understand and learn, man. Like, honestly, you have to some people take these falls, you know, but you don't want to get yourself in significant credit card debt
Mm-hmm.
and everything, because it's hard to come up out of those holes, man. You 50 grand, 60 grand, 100 grand in credit card debt, man. That's a hard nut, you know,
Yeah.
to come up out of. You got to do
Yeah.
some extraordinary things to have that cash flow to go ahead and pay that off.
Yeah. Yeah. So you want to keep your credit around spending limit is around 30% of all your credit cards combined, correct?
Yeah, every month you need to keep your credit card spending limit less than 30%. Yes, if you have an opportunity to pay it off, pay it off. If you want to leave, you know, 10% on there, you
Mm-hmm.
can go ahead and do that, because that helps you build your credit. Honestly, and his credit in paying off credit cards and stuff like that is twofold, due to the fact that, you know, the bank has to get something,
Right.
right? So if they're not getting any interest on the money that they're giving you and stuff, and you're just paying it off every month and everything, sometimes it might not boost your credit. You
Right.
know, your credit might stay the same.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it might not increase, because at the end of the day, the bank is not getting any money.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, one of the recommendations that was told to me was, you know, have at least, if you kept it less than, you know, 30%, or if you wanted to keep it even less than that, instead of paying it all off, keep at least 10% of that balance on there. You can go ahead and let it roll over to the next month. You can go ahead and do so. So now it shows that you did carry a debt, and then later down the line, you went ahead and paid it off.
Okay.
It's all about showing a track record of paying debt off. That's
Okay.
the biggest thing that people have to understand. You know, that's the biggest thing when it comes to credit.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's not only the fact that somebody took a risk on you, it's the fact that you paid your bills and paid your obligations on time.
Mm-hmm. Good. Good. That's good. That's good information. A lot of people don't know that. You know, a lot of people
Yeah.
don't understand the importance of having credit and, you know, getting that credit card at a young age and being able to not take advantage of it, or taking advantage of it and being able to come up out of it. Because I know people right now who've gotten those credit cards from being in college your first year and have never recovered from it. You know, all they do is stick into it and get another credit card. They might get a smaller limit, run that up, another credit card, and run it up. And they don't understand the importance of it. So, you know, you can't do anything without it. You can't do anything without it.
No, you can't. You can't buy a house. You can't say now. You can't even go get a job.
Right.
Depending on what you want
Depending
to
on
get a job in with.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
'Cause I know
can't
that
get it with credit.
I know with it's a private sector and the public sector, they
Yep.
do run your credit report, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, they do.
Both ends.
Yeah, they do.
I mean, and then if they consider you a liability, you've X'd yourself out of that job or that position.
Yeah, I know in the financial service industry that I'm in, they definitely run your credit and stuff like that, because you can't be out here selling financial service products and everything, life insurance and other investments, if you have bad credit.
Okay. So, what you have a lot of knowledge, and you've gained it through conversations, you've gained it through experience. What books have you read that has that light bulb has come on and said, okay, this is some good information. I can actually use this and apply it to my life.
Mm-hmm. One of the books that I'm actually reading now, and it's an audio book, so I'm actually listening to it every day, is 50 Cent's book that he just came out with.
Oh, that's a good one.
He dropped something, and it's kind of crazy, man. Like, you don't really think like the next chapter that I'm on is chapter 6. It's
Hustle
called
smarter, hustle smarter, hustle.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
that's the book and
yeah.
everything, but it talks about perception,
Mm-hmm.
right? So throughout this whole book, you never would have thought 50 is an educated man. Now, I mean, he's a savvy business person.
Very
And
much.
when he breaks down, how he did various different deals, taking equity compared to taking cash
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that, man, it really opens up your eyes to some various different things. And it puts you in a whole nother, you see him in a whole nother light.
Right.
So that's one of the books that I would definitely recommend. Also, Damon John, The Power of Broke,
Okay.
definitely would go ahead and get that as well. Reginald Lewis, Why Should White Guys Have All the Fun?
Hmm.
It'll take you back to, talking about business. It'll take you back to, he was one of the wealthiest African Americans in his day and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, coming from East Baltimore. Um, and there's some other books that's out there. You can read Napoleon Hill. You can go ahead and read Rich Dad, Poor Dad,
Right.
all those various different things, man. But really what will get you over the top is really personal development, man. Having that, not only reading, but also having a spiritual connection too, having a
Absolutely.
connection with a higher being. When you
Absolutely.
sit down and you listen to E.T.
Yep.
and everything, Eric Thomas,
Mm-hmm.
a motivational speaker, but also he's a pastor and a doctor and stuff, got his PhD, man, and you hear some stories about how he made it and having that higher being to tap into, man, to get him over the hump, man. That's what truly it is. That's what
Mm-hmm.
it's about, man. Being an entrepreneur, man, everybody wants to, glitz and glamour. You see the jets, you see the Bentleys, you see, the vacation homes, you see all this money, lavish life
Right.
and stuff like that, man. But honestly, it's hard.
Yes, it's a lot of
Anybody
work.
that has made it in success,
Mm-hmm.
being an entrepreneur, even being a professional athlete, you know, it's hard work that has to go in to get you to those levels, man. But you have to tap into that higher being. You got to
Right.
believe in somebody above to
Right.
get you through that hurdle, man, and get you over the
Absolutely.
top and stuff like that, man. And I think that that's some of the things that outside of just reading books, I
Mm-hmm.
think that having a spiritual connection with the Lord, spiritual connection with God
Mm-hmm.
is definitely important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with you. Going through situations in my life, if you don't have, if I didn't have the Lord, if I did not uh, have a connection with a higher power, I've grown up in the church, so I understand the importance
Right.
of it. I've seen him work in my life. I've seen him do things, keep me out of harm's way, put opportunities in my life. And it's very important that you have that relationship, because if not, you're going to be lost out here when you don't, if you don't have nobody else to turn to and you don't believe in
Right.
it. You're left empty. I can honestly say that
Yeah.
you're left empty. Um,
Yeah.
I just want to talk to you a couple more questions for you. The
Yeah.
importance of ownership. Being in the entrepreneur realm, I understand. Ownership is big. Could you elaborate on how that has led, how ownership, or how being an entrepreneur has led you to um, taking hold of it and becoming an owner over your own destiny?
Yeah. Um, it all goes back to the conversation that the previous thing that I stated about collateral,
Mm-hmm.
right? Once you own something, you can generate equity.
Yeah.
Once you have equity, you can go ahead and use that to better your life.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to go out here and open up a business and stuff like that, you can, if you have equity from your house or something, from an investment, from a good business transaction,
Mm-hmm.
you can go out and better your life and open up another business. You can go ahead and buy, cars and things like that. Really controlling your time is key, in having ownership over your life. But then also it depends on exactly what your main objective is in life. I'm
Mm-hmm.
blessed to actually figure out, from my mentors, being in the right circles that my parents put me in, having the experiences of going to, some prestige universities and
Mm-hmm.
everything's prestigious universities to be in these circles to actually figure myself out. Like, I'm not old. I'm 34.
Mm-hmm.
Just turned 34.
Okay.
So it's just kind of crazy. People in my age bracket, they're now starting to figure things out where, I've been in the entrepreneur space. I've been in Baltimore for the last 10 years, been in this space for the last 10 years, and it's not too far from me graduating from West Virginia in '08. So,
Right.
We're talking about a 12-year time frame, right now. And that's not a long period of time. And some of the things that I've accomplished over that period of time is from the experiences, but also it's because I was able to use the leverage and equity that I had by owning things
Mm-hmm.
to better my life and be a true entrepreneur.
Okay.
When I had the opportunity to open up a hair salon, a Paul Mitchell focused hair salon at Owens Mills, I
Mm-hmm.
was able to do that because I took money from what I was making at New York Life, um, being a life insurance agent, having my own business, having my own practice, taking money that I had from my investment properties to go ahead and facilitate that deal. But
Mm-hmm.
then also using the knowledge that I got from Marcus and Milchat being in the commercial space, commercial real estate space, to actually go ahead and sign a commercial lease and actually look and understand exactly what those various different terms mean.
Mm-hmm.
Talking about CAM charges, common area maintenance, talking about, triple net leases, what kind of leases are out there,
Right.
all those various different things, and I think that I'm truly blessed, man, honestly. And I give everything and I praise, and I thank the Lord every day for giving me the space and giving me the opportunity to do what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but getting back to what you said earlier, and the question that you asked is that if you have ownership, you can do a lot of various different things with your life.
Right.
If you don't have a lot of debt and you go out here, instead of going and renting something out of college, you go ahead and buy something, put your name on some stuff
Mm-hmm.
and everything, put some stuff in your name,
Right.
you go ahead and can have control of various different situations.
Right. Right.
You're not getting dictated to.
Right.
Now, think about it. If you rent from somebody, you're getting dictated to.
Yeah.
As
Absolutely.
long as you pay your rent, yeah.
Good.
But once that lease is up, there's no guarantee that you're going to stay.
Absolutely.
Because if that landlord says, hey, listen, I'm giving you this 45-day, 60-day notice and everything, your lease is coming up in 45, 60 days, I'm not renewing your lease, where you going to go?
Gotta find somewhere else to go. Get out.
That's just like working a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And working a 9 to 5 is not bad,
No.
because it gives you that job security and stuff like that. But, being an entrepreneur is totally different. Yes, you do have control over your time, but it
Mm-hmm.
all depends on what kind of entrepreneur you are.
Right.
Because once it gets a certain time during the day, you got to deal with clients, you got to deal with so many various different people, employees and stuff, and they're pulling you and controlling some of your time and
Mm-hmm.
everything. But also it's high risk, high reward too.
Yeah.
It's not for the weak hearted at all.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And everybody is not built to go ahead and do that. Um, I know there's folks out here that say, hey, listen, man, I want to open up my own business and stuff like that. But if you don't got collateral, man, no bank is going to touch you. Think about it. If you opening up a business, when we have that hair salon and everything, man, a bank wouldn't touch us until 2 years in. They want to see at least 2 years tax returns.
Mm.
And if you don't have a traditional business, a hair salon was considered a non-traditional business
Right.
because it's a cash heavy business.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like, okay, well, if you don't have, a traditional business, then, you got to come to the table with more collateral, but they want to see you have some skin in the game
Yes.
first to go ahead and do those various different, to secure that loan,
Mm-hmm.
but then also to do those transactions that you need to have your business thrive.
So what would you consider a traditional business?
See, that's the thing. People think that traditional. So a hair salon is not considered it's considered a non-traditional
Mm-hmm.
business because it's cash heavy, right?
Right.
Compared to a daycare. Daycare recession proof. If ands, buts about it, people are going to go ahead and have, you're always going to have clients in a daycare. That's a
Right.
traditional business.
Okay.
A restaurant, depending on a restaurant, a bank, that's a traditional
Mm-hmm.
business. When you look at hair salons, barbershops, and stuff like that, they consider it to be non-traditional because the turnover is high, because you got stylists and you got barbers that come and go.
Mm-hmm.
But then also there's no guarantee that you're going to go ahead and make money. Because think about it, if it rains outside, yeah, your clients is canceling that day.
Right.
So how can you guarantee your money compared to being in a daycare? Right now, I know people right now that are still paying daycare fees to keep their spots at this daycare during this coronavirus.
Whew.
They're still getting money.
Mm.
It's a traditional business.
Yeah. Okay. Got you.
Those are the differences.
Got you. Got you. So how has the coronavirus affected your business and how you handle business on a day-to-day basis?
Well, the coronavirus honestly has been a blessing to us,
Okay.
because I'm gonna be quite frank, nobody was giving any money to nonprofits in West Baltimore before the coronavirus. So it's kind of crazy that the coronavirus has came and it hasn't. And I'm saying that it's a blessing to us because our organization was able to get the money that it needed to service our community. We were able to go ahead and expand our healthy living initiative, have to do a COVID response where we're feeding families. But then also we're able to go ahead and tap into funding that we couldn't have an opportunity to tap into due to the fact that folks wasn't trying to invest in Black and brown communities.
Okay.
Because of what has happened with, the recent deaths of George Floyd, but then also the other individuals as well that have passed away, and, other things that have gone on during this time. Now everybody and even large institutions are giving money to nonprofits in urban areas or investing back into poverty-stricken areas. When you look at Harlem Park is a poverty-stricken area.
Okay.
Minimum income in Harlem Park is 24 grand. So it's under the poverty limit, and stuff. And before, having the conversations with various different big time, foundations and, even folks trying to get donations from them, the conversation was different before the coronavirus than it is now.
Okay. Okay. Could you expound on your current situation with Harlem Park and how you're working towards bettering the situation there?
Yeah. So with me, I am the founder, president, and executive director of the Harlem Park CDC.
Okay.
And like I stated earlier, some of the projects that we do, we have our own 4-H club where we're teaching the kids youth development, STEM, but also financial literacy, healthy living initiatives. But with us being in our area, some kids only get food while they're in school.
Right.
And they don't get healthy meals. So we actually was able to go ahead and form a partnership with Harlem Park Elementary School where we sponsored the meals. We were giving them healthy box lunches throughout the year so they can get a nutritional meal. But then also with our 4-H club, we taught the kids financial literacy. We taught them healthy living. We broke down the difference between a want and a need for them so they can truly understand exactly that. And we're going to expand and do some STEM programs, urban farming, a whole bunch of different things, agriculture. And we do that through our partnership that we have with Morgan State University that we're solidifying right now, but then also the partnership that we have with the University of Maryland Extensions Department.
Okay.
But some of the things that we're doing for our community, one has never been done before. We're creating a neighborhood plan. We just had our community engagement meeting last Saturday. We've hired our architectural and design firm, Ayerson Gross, that's in Baltimore, to go ahead and do that task for us. Once this plan is done, that plan will actually dictate what development comes into our community. And then also we can tap into larger funds, federal funds, to redevelop our community.
Okay.
So that's one of the things that we're accomplishing. But then also with this COVID situation right now, with us in our COVID response, we're able to go ahead and provide healthy meals and food to the community. Also, hand sanitizers, PPE masks, KN95 mask, and various different things that folks don't have access to.
Okay.
When you look at it, man, COVID has definitely opened up, and I think that it exposed all of the broken systems that exist in the country, but also in the world.
Absolutely.
When you look at these various different communities, when you're talking about, okay, you're making me wear a mask. It's a mandate. It's an executive order. Well, where can I get a mask from? I don't have access to a KN95 mask, N95 mask. Where do you get those from? Even surgical masks. Where can I get that from?
Right.
You got folks walking around with bandanas and stuff like that. With us, it's providing, those various different essential needs to, people that don't have opportunities to get them on a day-to-day. But even when you think about it, when we talk about social distance learning, we have folks in our community, families in our community that don't have internet at their house. So how are they going to do social distance learning? If you're looking at mom and pop who's out working and everything, 2 or 3 jobs, kids are at home, they're not in school. Who's watching these kids? But then
Right.
also some of the kids don't even get food outside of school. So during this time, we're able to go ahead and not only provide, the kids food, also the community food as well through some various different grants that we've gotten from the Truist Charitable Fund,
Mm-hmm.
but then also from another organization as well that has given us money to go ahead and take care of the students and the families in our community.
Good, good, good. How hard is it how important is it to get the grants, and how hard is it to the process itself?
Yeah, so for a nonprofit organization to run, you either have to provide a service,
Mm-hmm.
meaning that you have to sell a product or provide a service. Um, One of the initiatives that we do in providing a service is through affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
So we're developing some affordable housing, safe and secure, energy efficient housing for folks to live, and we generate the rental income from that to help the organization push forward. But then also the biggest thing is getting donation grants and loans.
Okay.
Grants are the biggest piece. Now you can tap into larger monies from organizations, corporate organizations, sponsorships, but then also some larger private foundations as well to go ahead and get these funds to run your organization. So it's just, grants are very important when it comes to running a nonprofit. And I didn't know the breakdown on how nonprofits, got money until I went back to school. I'm actually at the University of Baltimore right now getting my second master's. I have an MBA already, but I'm
Okay.
getting my second master's in nonprofit management and social entrepreneurship. So
Okay.
I could be well versed in this area,
Mm-hmm.
in this field. So, grants are very important. Grants aren't guaranteed. They are tedious. But as long as your organization, and it's just like anything, it's just like having a business. You're running a business.
Right.
Somebody has to take a chance on you, then it's trickle down effect after that.
Mm-hmm.
Because now, once somebody you show another organization that somebody took a chance on you, you use that money properly to go ahead and do what you were supposed to do with that money and create that impact, for your community. They're going to go ahead and give you more money later down the line.
Okay. Okay.
And that's what it's about. That's just like in business, if you open up a business, you have to put some skin in the game, but also do right by the money that you do use in
Mm-hmm.
that business. And then ultimately, later down the line, you'll be able to tap into some larger funds to run your organization and business.
Absolutely. And that ties right back. That ties into a previous question of how important relationships are, how important,
Yep.
how important your credit is, how important is, the collateral that you have. All that ties in together, and that's really good right there. That's good. That's some good stuff. That's some good stuff.
Yeah.
What do you see as the current, the current circumstances that we're in? Like you stated with the PPE, with with how we're handling the coronavirus. Do you see this as a new norm from moving forward?
Yeah. I think that honestly, we will never go back to what it was before. The world has changed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You got folks dying left and right from the coronavirus.
Mm-hmm.
But then also what has happened during this time, not only dealing with the coronavirus, but also dealing with, the systematic racism that has been exposed and televised and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. You have laws that are being changed. You have, people are woke now. You remember in school days when they said wake up,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, people are woke now
Yeah.
and everything. And these are the things that, have been happening for years, but nobody shined a light on it. Now that light is shined bright,
Mm-hmm.
and people were forced because of the coronavirus, people were forced to go ahead and actually get exposed to it, see it for what it is, and
Mm-hmm.
then actually react
Right.
to it.
Right.
There wasn't any sports on, a couple months ago when these things were happening and
Correct.
stuff, and then everything, and that's the only thing that was on TV
Mm-hmm.
was some of the things that have been happening to these various different individuals. around the country that lost their lives due to racism.
Mm-hmm.
And it's something that you can't run from it. Running from it, like they said in the frat, running from it will not save you. You gotta tackle it
Yeah.
and take it head on. But I think the world will never be the same,
Mm-hmm.
after this. I think that the coronavirus is going to be here until they have a vaccine. Hopefully that vaccine does work
Mm-hmm.
when they do develop it. But it might be in a new normal, just like, has China and, other countries have done for years, wearing masks
Right.
and
Right.
stuff like that. So yeah, this is a new norm. It's just, and when you walk outside, it's kind of crazy. Like we're really, yeah, you want to practice social distancing and everything, but when you do walk outside, when you want to get some fresh air and stuff, and you go to the grocery store and you see everybody, with mask on, and you got to go down a certain aisle this way and follow these, signs that signals and everything that's on the floor, and you know, you're actually checking out behind a plastic glass and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's eye opening, but
Right.
that's what it is for right now, and it's going
Right.
to be like that for a while.
Yeah, I see. I think it's for the foreseeable future. I really
Yeah,
wonder what's going over in China, because I guarantee they probably had the glasses up a long time ago. They probably had this whole
most
setup
definitely,
a long time ago, and
most definitely.
there it just wasn't a virus as strong as the coronavirus out that was just taking
Hmm.
people away from us left and right. The numbers
Yeah,
grown over week, over thousands deaths almost each and every day, every other week. So this
yeah,
thing
and
is
that's happening due to the lack of, uh, I would say, lack of maintaining what's going on, but also, it's the higher ups that's in the White House, that need to get their things together to go ahead and protect some folks and
yes,
everything. So these
yes,
honest conversations, man, people want to play politics and stuff like that, man. They got to realize that folks are dying out here, and when
absolutely.
death hits your door, what you gonna do?
Hmm.
Because it is real.
Yeah.
I know a couple of close family members of mine that have died from the coronavirus. I know a bunch of my fraternity brothers that have passed away from the coronavirus that I
Hmm.
knew.
Right.
So this is a serious matter that needs to be taken seriously. We need to stop playing games in the White House and need to go ahead and handle business.
Interesting. Interesting. And we can go ahead and touch on that as well. Um, just your overall understanding or thought on his
Mhm.
presidency.
I don't play politics.
Hmm.
I come from a family of civil servants. My mom was a politician, retired politician for 21 years on town council in the town where I'm from. Um, do I have aspirations on going into politics? I might in the future,
Hmm.
but I will say this: it you got to realize exactly the person that you're dealing with. Um, he's the first billionaire to ever become president.
Right.
So the mindset of the person is different.
Correct.
The man, came from a family where, his father was successful. His father gave him a lot of breaks in life. He was able to go ahead and build that legacy and keep that legacy going from everything that his father had and family had built for him
Hmm.
to do what he does now. Um, but the problem is the fact that, when you try to change, we're in a democracy. This is not a dictatorship.
Hmm.
When you make that transition and try to make a democracy a dictatorship, you have problems and issues because, one, you're not only dealing with people, but also you have to deal with their opinions. And this is not like running a traditional business. You're
Right.
running the government, and there's various different facets of the government that have control over various different things that you have no say so over.
Hmm.
Um, I do think that the country, but the even local government as well. And I'm specifically talking about the city of Baltimore.
Okay.
Um, I think that there needs to be a shift and transition, and whoever steps into those roles in November have to be well versed and have knowledge on what they're doing, have to have experience in those various different fields of being a city mayor or even being the president.
Hmm.
Because right now we're dealing with something that has never hit us before,
Hmm.
in the coronavirus. but then also there's going to have to be a lot of fires put out because of the coronavirus.
Right.
And you need to have somebody that, you don't have to be the smartest person in the room, but you have to have those various different individuals that are well versed in those various different fields to give you guidance and knowledge and their expertise, so you can make an educated decision that's going to benefit everybody in the constituents and residents and people that you're serving.
Absolutely. Well, dog, it's been a hell of a conversation. I do appreciate it.
Most definitely.
Yeah. I got one last question for you. So this is the mission statement. So what current mission are you on? And how are you pushing forward to complete it?
That's a good question. I'm the kind of person, man, and I got on this after graduating from West Virginia. You know, me and my fraternity brother, my Sands, Leland Mack, who's actually the director of development and compliance for our organization. You know, he's my type man. Me and Dog been hanging out since '07.
Mm-hmm.
But we both got this tatted on our arms. It's called progression.
Okay.
You know, when you look up the definition of progression, it means always moving forward.
Correct.
And that's the kind of motto, and that's what I live by. I live a progressive life,
mm-hmm.
A moving forward lifestyle, and everything. Never, you might have minor setbacks, but you're always moving forward. You're always going to learn from those various different things to progress to the next station in life.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm at right now. That's the mission that I'm on. It's not only to better my life, but it's also to build a legacy for my family. You know, the King family and everything. I'm the last person in my family that has the King name. So I have to have, you know, sons to pass that on, but it's more in a sense of building, you know, a legacy for my family, but also helping some folks on the way, man. When you look at the environment that these kids are growing up in, and it's not their fault. You know, they didn't have control over being born. They didn't have control over the current living environments that they're growing up in.
Right.
You know, and all this stuff. The reason why I brought a 4-H club to Harlem Park is because I'm a 4-H kid.
Okay.
You know, my mom had me in 4-H since I was 7 and stuff. She was a 4-H leader and everything. She was a camp leader. And it's just kind of crazy, man. Being in these various different circles have helped me gain the experience, knowledge that made me into the person that I am today. But then it's also giving back. You got to help somebody else, you know? And I think that, you know, the reason why wealthy folks actually go into philanthropy is not only for the tax write-offs, but also is to help some folks,
right?
You know, as well.
Right.
And once you're helping another person, you're always going to be blessed tenfold because you're helping somebody else, you know? When you look at Jay-Z, when you look at all these various different, you know, successful, you know, business people, they helped everybody around them become successful.
Right.
You know, you look at Jay-Z being a billionaire now, Kanye just hit being a billionaire, and that was his man's. You know what I'm saying? So it's just kind of crazy how some of those things have transpired, man. But the motto that I live by is progression, man.
Progression.
Always moving forward.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about.
Absolutely. Well, dog, I do appreciate you for your time. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing on up. Hey.
Most definitely.
Mad King, I appreciate you again. Hey, Lou, the Mission Statement Podcast. It is what it is. We out.
My man. Appreciate you, dog. Rue.
Appreciate you. Rue.
All righty.